So please welcome back to the show, my dearest soul sister, Janet Namaste. Welcome, Janet.
Thank you, Ashley.
Oh, thank you. I was sitting here thinking, preparing for this episode that I've been excited about. And it's like coming together and catching up really is like as you become my really dear, dear, dear friend. And I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, if I didn't do this podcast, I would never have met you. I mean, maybe because I feel so connected, there would have been another way that we would have found each other. But I think of that like the path and the little dots that connect to these people that I just have changed my life and have, made an impact and have, are really connected to my soul. And that's how I feel about you. And it's just such an amazing connection and is so grateful. And thank you, universe, for the all the dots that were connected to finally meet you. And so anyway, if you need to listen to Janet, our first episode, because we're not going to go into anything but these two things that Janet has been working on. And, what another thing I admire about you so much is you're always learning new things and wanting to add to your repertoire, right? Like you're always wanting to grow. And, it's like, what if we're not growing, we're dying. And you come across to me as like, if there's something new to learn, I want to learn it. And if something's calling me, I'm going to go find it and I'm going to answer the call. So I really admire that. And when we've been talking about so we're going to talk about family constellation work that you've been adding to your repertoire and the Stanford University Creative CIJ.
Yes, the CIJ program. Yeah.
Yes, Creative Insight Journey. So anyway, I want to start with family constellations and then we'll end with the CIJ program that we're going to collaborate on and talk about all the fun things when that starts. But with family constellations, I do my little rabbit hole work before I met you. And I was telling you, I watched that movie, Another Self, I think in 2020, and I didn't know what it was. And I was so um, just taken back by how they were getting these groups and healing and creating this like the other person was their mother. And it was so fascinating. And I remember laying there and it would be like I kept watching this, it was just very addictive and I was so fascinated by it. And then when you start telling me I'm doing this family constellation, it's kind of like that movie Another Self. And I thought, oh wow, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that was the same thing. So when I was doing my research, and the man that wrote, it didn't start with you,
Yes,
Mark
Mark Wolin.
Wolin. Yes. And I was listening to his story about he was going blind and he discovered, I mean, that's a whole story about even your health and where that goes to, the stems from, right? So it's systemic healing. So let's start with you've met Michelle Bleckman. You've worked with her for years and you just really resonate with her, what is she does. And she learned it from her daughter. Her daughter's the one that told her about it. And that was amazing. So, I'm just saying, talk about connecting the dots, right? So just explain to me where this family constellation work, why did it even call you?
Oh my God. I want to backtrack to when you first, like how you said all of how we connect the dots and how what I feel is God's breadcrumbs, connecting when souls are meant to meet, they will meet. And
Mhm.
that's how I felt about you when I heard your voice and I knew your voice. It felt like home. It felt like somebody who's part of my family, even closer, because sometimes even with our own family members, there are hidden dynamics. That's how what family constellation reveals, that there's resistance and we're not sure why or what. But when I first heard your voice, it was literally a soul calling. And even though I'm in New York and you're in California, we would be destined to meet no matter what, and how the friendship just evolved so naturally and without an agenda, as they say. It's just pure love
Right.
and connection. So I feel the same, and thank you for those words. Um, Interesting enough, the way that I was introduced to Family Constellation, yes, it was through my mentor, Michelle Bleckner. She's someone so dear to me. I've known her for many years, probably, I want to say, at least a decade, at least a decade.
Mm.
And although I have been in the metaphysical world out there professionally for like the past for 25 years, like you said, there's always something more to learn. We're forever students, forever students. And even when you think you know, you realize you really don't know. There's so much curiosity. And what happened was I connected with Michelle through a friend, and I was going through something that my healers, my close circle of Eastern and Western, they couldn't figure out. Just like in that book of it didn't start with you by Mark Wolin, where he had that issue with his eyes. With me, it was where I lost feeling in my fingers, in my three fingers, and I nobody could discover, physicians couldn't discover what was wrong with me. They sent me for MRIs, and I knew there was something deeper, because they were asking me if I was in a car accident. I wasn't. And being a past life regressionist, even during my own regressions, nothing was getting to the root of why this was happening. So when I connected with Michelle, at that time she was in Miami and I was here in New York, and she said, "Well, what do you want to work on?" And I said, "Well, I have this physical ailment, and it's it's a mystery. And throughout my life, I did have quote unquote mystery illnesses, as they say, which are AKA wake up calls from the divine saying, wake up. This is that dark night of the soul is really your next like step into evolution." And this is essentially what it was. It's that billboard sign, like angel billboard sign, wake up and go deeper within. So when souls were meant to connect, they do. And Michelle really helped me in the sense of, she introduced me to constellation work, and it gets you to the core of what is in the hidden system dynamics of your family, of things that have been perhaps generationally up to 7 generations, if not even more,
Mm.
that get passed down. And it's through even like of epigenetics, which Dr. Bruce Lipton is a big teacher of, is the epigenetics of certain genes that perhaps get awakened in your future child, like your future ascendants and descendants. Like you get it from the past, and you could pay it forward. And if something happens, let's say to your kid or to your child, or to not your child or your grandchild, that is a similar emotional frequency, suddenly you may feel the person the same type of ailment that perhaps your ancestor did. So it is a phenomenon in one sense. But what happened with me, going back to my journey, was Michelle said, "What do you want to work on?" Family constellations. I said, "Well, perhaps let's work on my relationship with my mom." My mom had me in her early 20s, and I love and adore my mother. But for some reason, I don't feel like it's a mother-daughter relationship. I feel like it's a sister relationship, and I really desire to be the child and her to be the mom. But what uncovered in the quote unquote field, you're working with the zero field, you're working with the all-knowing field, which is, that whatever, like I said before, whatever is hidden will be revealed. She brought me through this meditation and told me what constellation was all about. And it is a profound exploration of the invisible threads that connect us to our ancestors that shape our present. And it was discovered by a German psychotherapist named Bert Hellinger, and in the early 1990s. And it is an alternative therapeutic approach. He wanted to be he wanted to be a priest, and he went to Africa to study with the Zulus. And through that, he realized, through the Zulu wisdom, he he realized how much reverence they give to their ancestors. And he realized even this epigenetic type of patternings that come down, and even what's in a name, if you get named after someone, that you hold that energy also. So he actually then said, I'm not becoming a priest. He went into psychotherapy, and he really started opening this practice up and realizing how in through all of these individuals, his psychotherapy, he would have maybe a group filled, like a room filled with like a huge group. And suddenly people become like a hologram of different they represent either an element, a family member, and they may have never met before. So
Right.
going back to the conversation with Michelle and I, we discovered that at that moment I was going through, it was a trauma that happened in the family with my father. And I had that feeling that I needed to like save the family. That was the feeling that I had. I need to save the family. I have to save the family. I have to save my father. And it was mainly my father. I need to save my father. And we realized through the work and through the constellation work that what transpired was that my grandfather, when he was in Russia, and it was World War II, and he was in aeronautics as well, and he was a parachuter. He jumped out of the plane, and the Nazis fired at him, and they shot his three fingers off, the same three fingers that I lost feeling in.
Wow.
And it was during that same age that I was, it was a similar frequency, energetic frequency, that awakened something inside of me. And I started feeling those physical symptoms. Ashley, I kid you not, 72 hours later, I was, my feeling, my hands, all my joints, I can't say 100%, but definitely like 90% better.
Wow. Janet, okay, so wait. So when she's leading you through a meditation, you're coming up with this whole scenario, like this is what's going on. Is it coming to you, or is it she telling you how? And I understand like the representatives, like, or the people that are when you're doing a group healing and they represent a family member or some kind of a something that you need to heal or whatever.
Correct.
But that's a part that I need to understand more, because how does that story, and how do you come to the conclusion that he did that with his fingers?
It's interesting. So the way that, when I'm working one-on-one with someone, because she really inspired me. After that, she said, you need to be doing this. You have to be doing this. You work already with the quantum field, you work with the knowing field. And at that moment, I just I felt like I needed to embody the work. So the way that it works when you are in a group, it's different because participants enter the sacred circle, and there's this collective awareness, which we call the knowing field, right? And in this liminal space, the boundaries of time and individuals, like they experience, there's no time or space. There's no space or time.
Okay.
Experience like this anomaly of like what I would call a blur. It allows access to the deeper currents of our family soul.
How do you
And
get to that? How does that space be created?
so on a one-on-one basis, when I work one-on-one, I ask people, if we're doing it on Zoom, I ask people to bring objects to, like, take this, this lapis will represent my mother. This, this crystal will represent the father. Okay, place them down. All right, take something and represent the younger you. Okay, so do you think I'm in metaphysics? Look at all my stuff
I'm
that
like, what are you gonna grab now?
I feel like I'm
What's
in a
left?
like, yeah, I'm gonna grab the Lemurian crystal from yours.
Yeah, here, you want this one? I have mine in my hand too.
James and I, we actually went to a magic show last Saturday. I'll tell you all about that after
Oh,
this.
fun.
This would represent the younger you. Okay.
Okay.
Here you are, you take these crystals, you take whatever it is to represent, and you say, place them wherever you are and place the younger you next, like wherever you feel fit. You obviously, in the beginning, I open up the field through a meditation where we're calling
Okay.
upon yourself. And the way that, it's the way that we do it is through a meditation where you feel your parents standing behind you. The left, obviously, is the divine feminine, and the right is the divine masculine. So you feel the energy of the divine feminine behind you, your mother, the divine masculine of your father behind you, your birth parents. If you were adopted, then you put them right next to, next to your birth parents, because you came from, there's people are part of the system. People are part of the system. Even ex-lovers and exes are part of the system.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes what's going on with our children has nothing to do with the system of the husband and wife. It may have to do with someone that may have unresolved business or an issue or something with their former partner. Maybe they didn't have closure or some
Oh
sort.
my gosh.
And it reveals in the fields of our children. Oh, trust me, I just finished 152 hours of constellation work. That's my certification, my new one. Oh, I've worked on everything.
Wow.
Done everything.
So wait, let's go back to that boyfriend thing. So what explain, because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, have I like had a past relationship where I didn't have closure? Or so how do you know that? And then it's affecting my children?
Oh my God, it's so the field shows it. Ashley, this is so profound. And the fact that I'm also an intuitive, and I work with the field, and I'm the four clairs. I'm able to see, hear, and feel. But what I love about this work, it gives the power back to the person immediately.
Mm.
That's what I love the most, where the codependency of seeking from outside sources is removed. It brings the light back inside of you, and it integrates that younger self, that inner child that so wanted your attention, that you may have abandoned and not even know that you abandoned.
Mm.
And it reconnects. So I'm also doing shamanic soul retrieval in a sense, but in a modern day, spiritual couture way,
Of course.
right? Mala beads and diamonds. It's okay. But it's amazing when I'm working one-on-one, we do that meditation first in order to open up the field. You're opening up this space. You're allowing the person to go within, and behind the parents, you call upon their parents. And their parents, which is your grandparents, behind them, you're calling up your great grandparents until you're 7 generations back. So it's like you're making this beautiful letter V, right? It's this triangle, and you're standing in the front, and just by visualization and feeling the support
Mhm.
of your ancestors, the things that they have done in order to even migration. Obviously, we're right now, we're blessed enough to, maybe not so blessed, but blessed, like to be in the United States.
I was like, wait a second.
Whatever, like that's
I'd rather be in Italy, but that's just
me too. Me too. So here we are in the United States, but in order for us to get into the United States, we weren't native, we're not the Native Americans. Like this was indigenous land that we came through. Any migration, that is trauma also. So not only do we get passed down the gifts and the blessings and the talents, we also get passed down the trauma inside. But it doesn't mean we have to live with the trauma. Because of this particular modality, which I love, and I combine it with shamanic work, and I combine it with energy healing work afterwards, and hypnosis and EFT. I spin it off with, a little bit of Janet Namaste in it. It's so beautiful because you realize that the trauma that our ancestors have had, you don't need to hold it anymore. That, even the things that rock that you've been holding, saying, you know what, it belongs to you, it doesn't belong to me anymore. Without that energy of shame and guilt, it just dissipates, and you're giving it back without the feeling of needing to be a martyr or anything like that. So it removes the energy of ego. And you're saying, and even when sometimes when there's death in the family or suicide in the family or some like horrific traumas, we are able to balance out that energy, that fate, by having certain words and healing sentences that the person says to the representatives, or even to, even the objects. Just the sentences of these healing words bring solace. I can't say, and closure. I can't say that it eradicates the situation, because some people think that if they heal, that all their suffering, all these years have been in vain, and even the suffering of their families have been in vain. With the wars that are happening now in the world, it's terrible how it, so much separation. This brings people together, and it brings, most importantly, you back together to you, and seeing your parents, regardless of your relationship, in the eyes of the soul. It's so beautiful. It's so profound.
Okay. So explain to me when you were there with Michelle and I'm picturing you, and then you have your mom and dad behind you, and you're doing all this work and visualizing that and doing this meditation, and you're working on your mom. What is that? How are you clearing that? Like explain that part.
It's interesting. That was like 10 years ago. My God, I must have had I can't even tell you how much work I've done with Michelle since then. But you may think that the issue began with what you're struggling with at the moment. But in reality, when the discovery was with my grandfather at that moment. That wasn't even her dad. It was my father's father. But when I said I want to work on my mom, and when she set up the meditation, and she asked about the relationship, and I said, no, I knew my grandmother, my mother's mom. I knew my grandfather, my mom's dad. I knew on both sides. But who was I not close to? Because she knew was on the father side too. And this is also, I know as well,
Right.
because it was my right side. And our body gives us different, gives us signals of even the family member when you're working through in constellation work, depending on where the pain or the discomfort is. It has to do with the root of that ancestor lineage. So for me, it was on my right side. That's my father's side.
Okay.
So we kind of diverted, and I would be lying to say, I would be lying if I remembered what really transpired during that moment. But all I remembered was that you get to the root when she asked me what was happening at the moment of, at that time. And what happened was my dad got crushed by an elevator. Like it was a terrible accident, and um ended up where now he's like handicapped for the rest of his life. But at that moment, as I became his, because his mother passed away, I became like the father of the family, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I took the role as the patriarch of him, when in reality he's my father. Despite of the horrific accident, I needed to take my place as the child, and he's still my father. So utilize it. I don't have to hold that feeling of thinking I need to save him the way that his father would have saved him. Do you understand?
Right.
Protect him. So it's through different healing statements, but that's what the field unravels. And it's very, very, very deep, deep, deep work. And it's so profound and it's so beautiful, because the way that it weaves the tapestry of our own family, and of even of the system that we live in, meaning of like even you can constellate anything. You could constellate a business, you could constellate a state, you can constellate,
Huh.
you know, of you could constellate anything. Like it's but it's knowing that the universe will only give you what the answers and reveal to you when the soul is ready. But that's how that came about. I just don't remember the exact details of it, but it was beautiful, because when you reveal those root causes, like there's certain persistent issues that people have, and it's connected to family events, inherited loyalties.
Hmm.
Well, since they are suffering, or they have the C word or some sort of disease, automatically sometimes like a child will take that disease upon away from the parents, thinking that they will save them in a sense, or any type of unresolved trauma that has been unconsciously carried forward. That's what constellations like is able to reveal and heal. But you have to feel it. You know how they say you have to feel it in order to heal it. And
Right.
that's
Right. Huh. Could you tell a difference with your relationship with your mom after that?
yes, indeed.
In what
Absolutely.
way? You were more the daughter? You felt more that you looked up to her as a mother? How did the energy look?
I always looked after my parents as I was their parent.
Right.
Since I was a young girl. Since I was a young girl. We then, of course, like I've worked, through things with my mom as well. It's my sister and I are 9 years apart, so I was the only
Right.
child for 9 years. And then when my sister came along, I ended up being like that maternal
Mhm.
instinct was there again.
Right.
But my parents, as young immigrants in the country, I was the firstborn American here, and it's assimilating into New York, and customary of like what is to assimilate, to fit in, as and work hard, all these kind of things that I felt that I was coming back, learning certain things in school and teaching them about certain aspects of the culture as well.
Right.
It's
Interesting. You
yeah,
know, what enters my mind, because we're both moms and kind of similar ages in a way, and I've learned from you how I know how you parent, and, it's like, I think now when as we speak right now, thinking of what, looking at the girls and what they have taken from me or from, little things. Do you do that with Jules and Mikey? Do you look at them differently now after this work? Have you helped them with this? Or are they, I mean, Mikey probably is like, stay far away, mom. Don't talk to me.
I mean, whoever's listening, and the divine masculine, the men, do you remember when you were 17 and your mom would say good morning? how were you to, how were you to her? um I have to say this work has been profound. My whole family has been doing constellation work, including my
Wow.
husband as well. And it has been, James isn't one, we speak about our husbands a lot too. And he's not one where he'll sit there and meditate with me. Or if I'm like, let's go on a spiritual retreat. And he's like, you know,
Right.
I actually I didn't trick him. I don't trick my husband, but I said, for our anniversary, let's go to this spiritual retreat. He's like, that's what you really want to do. That was the only way I got him
Oh, funny.
to Omega Institute.
Cute.
Yeah. But with the children, going back to your question, it's great. Juliana, what I found, it really did help her a lot. She, as you know, Juliana was born blind, and she's my miracle. She's the reason why I really came out of the metaphysical closet in a sense, and just integrated my gifts and paid it forward in that sense because of her. She's such a great inspiration. Our children, I feel, for in my perspective, like they are my greatest teachers. But I realized through this work that I am the parent, they are the children, because it's so important that they are, they were blessed enough to choose me as a mom, but as a parent, I need to take that responsibility. And Jules was always interested in the West, like in Eastern kind of, and Mikey too. I used to have monks at the house, and my best friends are disciples of, Paramahansa Yogananda. And we always have all different, since Michelle Bleckner was always at my house, all different kinds of healers that would stay at my home. So they are so integrated in this work, yet very much assimilated in athletics and sports. And Jules worked with Michelle, and anytime that she's home from university, and I'm doing actually a retreat next week in New York with Michelle. Anytime we do a constellation workshop, she's the first one there. She loves to represent, which is great. And she also, I feel like she found her voice through this as well,
Hmm.
because you get to speak the words that there's something that that is speaking through you. And I feel like it's the spirit that is speaking through you, that in the morning, one of my prayers is, angels, guides, please speak through me, be my voice, be my eyes, be my ears, allow me to reach my highest potential today with your guidance. It's that prayer for surrender and faith. And that is what I feel the constellation work did for my family also, because it works on what is on the other side of the veil. It removes the aspects of ego, even when there's resistance. If there's resistance and the person doesn't want to do it, you have free will. You can just say,
Right.
no, I'm not ready. And
Hmm.
if the facilitator says a healing statement and says, please say this to your mother or the person representing your mother, and they say, I can't say it, you then can close it in a way and saying, well, let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at that. And when we're ready, if we're ready, we'll go back to it. But from now, we leave at peace. It's important because sometimes, especially during Thanksgiving or Christmas and the holidays, and when you're together with family, there's always that hidden thought form that goes through of, oh, I know how she's going to show up. Oh, I know how he's going to show up,
Right.
because this is what they did. It's something that lives inside of us. This removes any type of judgment. And that's what it did, I know, for my son as well, to have a mentor like Michelle, who's going to be 82 years old, who's open
Wow.
for freaking Tony Robbins. Like, I'm going with her to Tony Robbins in November. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, but it's been profound, especially when Mikey was younger as well. Now he's 17, but there were certain things that happened in the family, like during COVID time and everything like that, that was at that time I felt was beyond my control in a sense, that affected us all. What affects one family member, it affects us all, just
Hmm.
like the law of one. What affects one person we are all connected, but as a family unit, it was so important. So I feel it has done a profound impact. And yesterday, my friend Susanna told me that she spoke with Jules, and Jules did this beautiful video for her. Susanna turned 50. She's one of my best friends as well. And Juliana made a whole video of all her friends of wishing her happy birthday. And at the end, she popped on. And the biggest compliment was afterwards when Susie called me and she said, I don't know what you did, but your daughter is just an amazing, beautiful soul, so eloquent, so confident, so, just, and she's a gentle soul also, very kind. But I also feel the more that we work with our kids and bring the essence of spirituality and teach them about the different laws of the universe at a very young age, and mindfulness tools and all those things, that's better than learning freaking, like, no offense to you math teachers out there, but I don't know when Jules is going to be doing freaking geometry or like
Right.
calculus. Who knows if that's what she wants to go into one day? But that's the glue, I think, that holds the bond of heart-based
Right.
resonance all over.
Well, when I want to get into the next one, but I want to talk a few more things about this. But, when I was listening and learning about both of these programs, well, the healing of this one is like, Paige is struggling with her algebra. And like when you just said that, I'm thinking, oh gosh, why doesn't she just get a constellation, therapy with you and then do this the master's program at Stanford University that when I was reading it it was to get a degree in transformation. Like, what a great, let's get a degree in transformation. Like,
That's
that's like,
yeah. Let's do it.
but I just, I have such a hard time. And I know it's where we're at in this world, and that's what we have to offer is these classes at college level and high school. I mean, it's basically just the next level up. And I just, you spend so much money on a college degree, and
I
I'm
know.
watching what she's learning, and I'm thinking if she could just sit with you for the next couple months and learn all this, she'd have, I mean, what a amazing uh everything, like amazing everything, yeah, like background. She'd have a knowing of who she is. She'd be cleared of all this, any kind of family trauma that she's going to take into a relationship or into a marriage or a friendship, understanding herself with when she's learning to meet new friends. Why is that coming up again? All those things that if children were taught that, what would think of think of the relationships, think of marriages and the future, think of what the world is going through right now and what they're going to see in their lifetime. It's going to be way different than when we were growing up, to where technology was introduced and now it's gone, like that was kind of the middle of our, life as technology started. We had a great fun childhood with nothing and just played, and now we had technology. Well, they go from the high speed technology to who knows what's coming in their lifetime. But that's why this work, and I understand why it called you, because people need to understand that it's not them. It has nothing, it's not them. And when they
No,
own their trauma and when they own their stories of what happened and all, it's not them.
no, it is not. And they think, I'm not a physician. I'm just putting that out there right off the bat. People feel depressed. They go to a doctor. Oh, you're depressed. Here's a prescription. Let me write you, here's this. And all they're doing is numbing. I'm not a physician. I'm putting it out there, but this gets to the root and you realize, wow, this didn't come from me. Maybe this came from an ancestor from long ago that had to leave her long lost love, or maybe miscarriages. That's a huge one.
Hmm.
It's a huge one. I
I
had
had
a
a miscarriage.
I had a few miscarriages before Jules was born. So Jules essentially is not my second. She is my third child.
Wow. Okay.
Mikey is my fourth. So there's an order, like there's that feeling of maybe something missing, something missing. She's acting like the firstborn, but in reality, she's the third.
Wow.
Because of those, we need to acknowledge even those, especially if we're spiritual, those are souls that came into our lives to, and whether the miscarriage was within a week or if it was 3 months or God forbid it was a stillborn child, that the tragedy of that and the trauma of that. But we have to acknowledge all of that because everything in our life like is a gift for us to elevate, for us to evolve and grow, to reunite our passion and purpose. But we have to acknowledge what is. And when you acknowledge what is and accept what is, then other people can then blossom also. If I didn't acknowledge those miscarriages prior, that's another thing that I learned through this work. My children probably felt this is on a subconscious level
Hmm.
where second born does a certain thing, the firstborn does a certain thing. It's very interesting because you say you're the older sister, you got to take care of your younger sister, you have to, but essentially she's the second, or you know what I mean. These
Hmm.
It's so fascinating. It doesn't start with us, it doesn't. And going through this also, what I discovered, which I thought was so fascinating, one of our homeworks for the program that I was doing, the accreditation program for constellation work, he had us do, it was a family of origin presentation. So it was basically an ancestral tree. And I've never done like the DNA test. I never did like whatever I was going to
Yeah.
say, you know,
23 and me. Thank God. Now it would have been in the,
kidding.
jeez.
Holy moly. Listen, they're going to find out I'm like half Palladian, I'm a quarter Arcturian, and,
Right.
that's how we're related, Ashley.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're gonna be like, okay, you're going back to like the seven stars, that's what they're gonna find out, that the aliens are here.
Yeah, exactly.
Janet and Ashley. No, I never did that. But what I realized through that, both of my great grandparents on both sides, they were garmentos. My grandfather's side, he did men's clothing and men's underwear. This is wild. And my
Huh.
grandfather's family they were furriers, like they were in Romania, and they were in the fashion field. And who did I marry? There's no such thing as coincidence.
No. What?
Garmento, he's not in fur. You like people that are like anti-animal, like my husband makes men's clothing. Like
Wow.
I married a Garmento. Like who knew?
Wow.
Field knows. The field connects you with certain things. It's unbelievable. It is definitely a phenomenon indeed, but the hologram of what shows up in there is beautiful and we have to embrace it. There's nothing to fear. It eradicates that lower vibrational energy completely. I love it.
Oh, when you say Juliana loves to represent, be like, so she's in the group, so you can be the person. Will you explain that and how? Because when I watched that movie, I saw them take upon the characteristics of, let's say, that person was representing their mother, and they were taking that on. Can you explain how that
Of
works?
course.
People, I mean, go watch that movie too, Another Self, because it kind of shows you what we're talking about. But I want to understand, I want you to explain that, how that works.
Sure. It's so amazing. By the way, it's a series on Netflix. It's not just a movie.
Right. Yeah. The series. Yeah.
And I can't wait I hope the next one comes out. It's a Turkish series as well, but I mean it's in English also. You could listen to it in Turkish and with English subtitles, but it's amazing. And I only discovered it recently, which is really a year ago,
Huh.
and then I just binged watched. And you and I are not big television watchers, but
Right. No, and that I can say that would be one of the things I was
yeah,
addicted to. And I didn't know why. And I didn't know you. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know it was called constellation work. So, yeah. So, anyway, but that was so fascinating. And when I've been learning about preparing for you and learning more, it's that visual of watching that person take upon, not
Yep.
even knowing your mother, not even knowing what you're healing, but they take upon those characteristics.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So this is how it works. You ready?
Okay.
And this is what you can expect. And then if you want, I can do, if you want to, like off the cuff, I can do a little bit of like uh a meditation and lead you to a constellation with you and your parents, or and the viewers can, and the listeners can also do it if we
Oh,
have time.
good.
I don't
Yeah,
know
we'll have
what.
time.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So how does it work? In a constellation session, a seeker, there's a facilitator. So let's say I'm the facilitator and you're in a group of you're part of a group of 10 to 32, could be 100 people. And a seeker gets chosen. Usually what I do is I take names and like little post-its, pick out a name, but everybody has their own way and they bring an issue or a question to explore, right? The facilitator, Janet Namaste, will guide this beautiful heart-based process of setting up what we would call a living representation of the person the seeker's family system or the situation within the circle. So let's say, let's bring a situation up where, let's say, a person feels that, I don't know, name a situation, anything, like what that person could be going through.
Just I was thinking just the issue with a mother, like not feeling there's
Perfect.
a disconnect or
Perfect. Okay. So you would say, hey, let's say the person's name is Mary. Mary, choose someone here in the field to represent your mother. So she will get up and she will go to the person and ask the person permission, because they have free will, of course. Will you represent my mother? They can accept or they can deny. And if they deny, you could go to somebody else because you feel it. If it's you feel it in your body of what is a hard yes or a hard no, right? So when the person agrees, you choose a person and you say, okay, choose someone. Would you like to represent yourself, or would you like to choose someone to represent you? Okay,
huh.
let's choose somebody else to represent me. So she goes around in the crowd and she finds and asks somebody, will you represent me? Yes. Okay. She goes, places them somewhere in the field. The field is just, the floor, in front. All right. Would you like somebody to, why don't we find somebody, like you ask them questions, of course, prior, of what the incident, you try to, interview questions of what actually transpired, where did that disconnect, when did you first feel that disconnect, what is your relationship like now with your mother, when was it ever a harmonious relationship? And then we can even find somebody that represents, depending on what the answers to those questions were, we can even then ask somebody to we could ask her to find a representative for her grandmother, her mother's mother, or her mother's parents. Maybe the disconnect didn't start with the mother. It started
Mm-hmm.
something with somebody behind. And what happens then is you ask then, she's sitting next to you, the representative, and I, as the facilitator, say, okay, representatives, find your place in the field. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and move where you feel is where you're comfortable, where you feel is your place energetically. You just know where to go. Your soul leads you. And the person is just watching what is transpiring. And then I would ask the person, how do you feel of the way that your mother's standing, or the younger you, or the grandmother? We ask, and she'll answer. Then I'll go to the people that are representing, of what is that, of how they're feeling. Suddenly they start, that's the phenomenon about it. They start saying the words that your own mother would say.
Oh,
I mean, that is what is, I mean, when people,
what?
I mean, I've had, and this is strangers, by the way, sorry, I'm getting comfortable. These are strangers, like for the most part, like these are people that don't know about your family dynamics, and they start saying certain words, like they're statements that even family have. So these are they represent their key elements of people that are representing the people related to the issue of the disconnect. In this situation, it's the disconnect with the mom. And as the constellation unfolds, the representatives follow their intuitive impulses. They're moving and they're speaking in ways that often reveal hidden dynamics. So like someone could fall on the floor or something like that, and I would ask, was there a death? Was there, and you feel in the field if something was missing. Did your mother have a miscarriage before you? Where, oh, yes, she did. Let's bring a representative to represent the miscarriage. Bring the baby in. Somebody represents that. Suddenly you feel even the temperature changes in the room. It goes from and I don't want to say feeling of coldness, but there's a warmth that happens. There's a feeling of nurture that happens, a connection that happens. So what happens is this move, what Hellinger calls it is movements of the soul. And they start speaking that reveal hidden dynamics within the system. It is unbelievable. And that leads to the most profound insight and healing opportunities. So then during these workshops or during these like constellation work, you get to break patterns that you may have felt stuck. You engage in an in-depth healing. It's unbelievable. It is so in-depth because at the end, if it's a trained, it's very important that you feel a rapport with the person too. You don't just go, oh, this person's doing family constellations, I'm just going to go to them. It's so important that you feel that energetic tie, it's really, because you can, it's anyone can learn a trait, but to embody it and be in it and to hold the sacredness of it is a different story also.
Right.
It's very important because the beauty of constellation work also, Ashley, is that it lies in the ripple effect. Whether you're the focal point as the person, the seeker, or if you're participating in someone else's, or if you're just viewing, you're part of the group, the healing potential of it is for all participants. Someone else's issue might resonate deeply within your own system, consciously or unconsciously, and it offers you unexpected insights and opportunities for growth. Like, it is amazing. As a facilitator, you ask all these questions, but the representatives, they feel sensations, thoughts, emotions, disruptions, imbalances in the system, but those are opportunities for healing. It's incredible. It could
Oh,
last
wow.
10 minutes up to 2 hours, one
Wow. I
constellation.
was just saying, like, I want you to come and do a whole weekend retreat on constellation.
Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming.
Okay, good.
We're gonna get to California.
Yes, we are. You are. I could continue, and there's so many more questions I could go to, but let's do the meditation, and then let's go into the program that you're beginning November 11th, the Stanford University
Yes,
program.
that you're co-doing with me. That
Yes,
you
I can't wait. I mean, I can't wait even more now after reading it because I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, that's all. I'm not kidding you. Like, if Paige took one class the rest of her life, it would be that one.
my Juliana did, not Mikey, but Juliana did it.
She did.
Profound.
Oh, I bet. Okay, let's do the meditation and then we'll.
Okay, so let's do the meditation. Take a deep breath in. And this is just a little exercise, and I ask that you're in a quiet place. And if you're driving, please do not do this while you're driving. I ask that you close your eyes, you breathe, and connect to your body. Connect to your breath and see if your breath is in your belly or in your heart space. And wherever it is, just bring your breath up to your heart. Connect to your beautiful heart and visualize someone handing you a key to the gates, an armor that perhaps was around your heart, and you open it up with your lungs filled with beautiful oxygen and the love now filled in your heart. Connect to your body and imagine now that you're standing in front of your mom and dad, of your parents, and just notice, begin to notice how far or close you are to them and what you feel in front of them. Are you able to look at them in their eyes? Are you able to really take in their presence? Now, you don't have to do it. Just imagine what it would feel like to bow to them, like to bow to their feet, honor them, to their life, for giving you life, and to bow to the two people, no matter what your relationship may have been, but the two people who survived and had enough life in them to give it to you. And breathe. And just imagine for a minute what it can feel like if there's any resistance to it. Are there any resistance that is between you and them that's coming up for you? And if there is, welcome the resistance. It's okay. And can you feel your body? Inside your body, do you feel a sense of superiority to them or judgment about how they raised you or the essence of who they are or how they handled everything? And just take a moment to notice what happens and what comes up in your body. And then if you truly feel that you're able to, can you very, very slowly just bow to them with your body and just notice what comes up as you do that movement as slow as possible. Feel, sense, or perceive what happens in your body, what happens to your heart, to the sensations, the emotions in your body. And you might not even be able to do it at all, and that's completely fine. But that just gives you an information about where you're at. But if you managed and you were able to, and you gave yourself permission, and it felt right to bow to them as you are lowered, just say out loud, I am small and you are big. I am not your parent. I am only your child. Just see how that feels in your body. I am small and you are big. I'm only your child. And if you're not able to visualize it, see it, it's completely okay. Just allow this to give you information about where you're at. And if you're able to see it, visualize or imagine, just feel into what happens into your body when you do that. Has your breathing changed? Is there some emotion that is within you? Scan your body from above to below, from left to right. And if there is, just let it out. Let that tension out. Don't try to grab onto it, to hold onto it. Don't try to understand it or bring a narrative into it. Just let it move through you. As you let it come out of your eyes, maybe tears come out. And whenever you're ready, you can visualize and stand back up and notice the difference of how you felt before and now, how you feel when you acknowledge that you were the child and they are the parent. And whenever you're ready, you can open up your eyes.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's interesting. When I saw my parents, they were like in their 30s. Isn't that funny?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I could see him. Yeah, well, my dad passed away when he was 64, but my
Wow.
mom's 81, 82. But yeah, they were in their 30s. I thought that's where I see him. Okay. Hard to go to the next. We'll
I know it
end.
is.
Yeah, but we will. So let's talk about this program you're starting November 11th.
Yes.
And you believe so much in it. And after reading about it, I get why you do. So why don't you explain it?
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. So it's so interesting how we're segueing from that to this.
I
But
know, right?
you know what? This also, that little, it was just like a brief meditation to honor your place. We all have a place to belong. We all have a right to belong. And that is actually this program, this 8-week program, acknowledges our belonging, our creativity that we all were born with. When someone says, I feel stuck, I just don't know what I'm meant to be doing on this planet Earth. And yes, I could do an intuitive session. We could do a destiny program that I love to do. But this is something that is so tangible. And in 8 weeks, it brings such a camaraderie of beautiful people from all over the world. And people become friends. It's a group program. I enjoy doing this in a group setting than one-on-one, to be honest. But it allows you to feel that sense of belonging and support, which is so incredible. This program is an 8-week program that derived from the Stanford University Master's Program. It was called the Creative Insight Journey. And it really revolutionized the art of success. That's what I call it. It originally derived from Dr. Michael Ray, who was a professor in Stanford. And what he realized he realized that these brilliant people had incredible ideas and they just didn't know how to get it out there in the world. How do I get this idea out there? Because most often than not, people have this great idea and then they hit the brick wall of frustration and they take that piece of paper with that idea and they throw it out They're like, it's, it's never going to happen. All these doubts creep in. And what this does, what I really love is that through this 8 weeks, like the first 8 weeks, it's broken down in such an incredible structure. You build the foundation of essential tools for creativity. What is creativity? Creativity is uncover your magic. That's your podcast. It's the magic that is inside. And that first week we go into the energy of the faith of within your creativity. That idea that maybe when you were 18 years old, and then suddenly somebody else is doing it and you're like, I thought about that. Why didn't I do that? And it allows that it feels more tangible. So we go through this process where we remove the absence of judgment, because half the time we say, nah, it's not going to work, because that voice of judgment comes in. And we work through that. And it's so beautiful because we realize, wait, that was when I was 5 years old. And perhaps I sang out of tune and someone told me, oh my God, don't ever sing. You're hurting my ears. And those words, especially as a child, it's so impactful on us. And in a sense, it could close up a certain creative spark inside of us that we're meant to shine. We're meant to be unique, not to just blend in, right?
Mhm.
Then we go into the energy of, week 3 is all about mindfulness, being in the moment, how important, that's where the magic is. It's not of what was and what will be. In the moment is realizing that everything is a miracle. And when we realize that and truly embody that, things start unfolding in such a synchronistic way.
Mhm.
That's what it is. This program allows synchronicity to happen. It brings in the balance of logic and intuition together, because that's week 4. Week 4 is intuition. I love this program. I've been
Mhm.
this like I learned it when I was in 2017, and every year I've been teaching it. I brought it into corporate. I teach it in the Board of Education in New York. I got it into the school system there. It is incredible. And then the last 4 weeks, we go into our own purpose and vision, how we manage time and stress, and does time really exist? We go into the metaphysics of it as well. Relationships is week 7, which is great. Our relationship with others, relationships of even, we weave in of our childhood, we weave in of corporate. It's amazing. And week 8, which I think is so important, is prosperity and bringing your creativity into the world. It has to do with finance, because financial energy is energy. Money is energy. Like people think, well, if I have a talent, or if it's if you're not selling an object, then what is the exchange of value when it comes from inside? That's why
Mhm.
I've known so many yogis that are incredible at their craft, but have poverty consciousness. Not that I'm putting like them in a group, but I've seen it. I've seen it. My own,
Yes.
like, and I'm like, you're incredible. You need to be out there, and the world needs you. Money is not bad. It's the love of money. But what I love about this is that you end up just going into this deep discovery about yourself and your highest potential. You apply mindfulness and emotional intelligence at the same time. And you see the significant progress. Like by week 3, I've married 4 couples. When I say I married,
Oh, wow.
I swear to you, throughout from 2017 to now, 4 couples got married. People have become best friends. The retreat that we're doing in Mexico, and that I've been doing like these retreats the past few years, they've met on this program. We
Oh my gosh.
together, Ashley, it is so beautiful, because what is incredible is we have peer calls at the end. And you meet all these different people, and some people are like, oh, I don't want to do it. That's another responsibility. I don't even have time. No, you do have time. You 100, because this ends up, and you don't have to, talk about anything, I give you the questions, and one is coach, one is client, they're 20-minute calls, but these calls end up being a soul connection. I'm an incredible matchmaker. You know that. I am an incredible matchmaker, but transformation, as you know, it comes from the inside out. And the tools that are in this program is incredible because you end up reprogramming the monkey mind, the negative thought patterns that you've had, and transcend the limiting beliefs that hold you back. The stories, the fear, the limiting beliefs, we're much bigger than that. And
Right.
it is incredible. I've taught in the United Nations. We've done this, like, with the kids there as well. It is incredible, incredible, incredible. And we begin November 11th.
Yes.
We're going to open up enrollment soon. Actually, enrollment, they could just go on the website on janetnamaste.com/transform, and it'll be in your show notes too. And just like book a call with me. And because I pair up people, and I am 100 billion% honest, that if I'm like, if you don't have the time for it, because this is not something where I want you to watch the recordings. If you can't make it live, of course you could watch the recordings, but I want you to be in it and really invest in yourself, because I guarantee by the time even week 4 comes around, you're going to look back and be like, I can't believe the growth and the transformation that has already happened.
Wow.
Only, you know, whatever it was, 28 days just went by. It is incredible. Incredible. It's the best
Mhm.
program. That
Well, yeah, you come on. I mean, how could you not, how could you say no to what you just said? And all I can say is I just want a school that it's based on this program and that's all they learn for, for 4 years. I believe and I see it. And I just am gonna keep saying that and announcing it to the world. I mean, I'm at those little schools now, during the for the whole year, those 2 schools. And, it just ignites my heart so much to know that there's schools out there but you're saying this and I'm thinking, oh, if they were like, when they get to high school, I'm going to come find them and then we're going to do this program.
Absolutely. And I have a children's program also. So you're 100% going to
Okay.
this for
Thank
them.
you. Okay. So how are we doing this? How are we signing up? How are
Okay.
we?
So you're going to go on janetnamaste.com/transform, and you can book a call. If you're like, I'm in it, you could just put the deposit in. The cost, if you pay in full, it's 1,200, or you could do 2 payments, which is 650 and 650. It's super uber affordable for those 8 weeks, for 1,200 or 1,300, whatever it is you choose. Like, it is amazing. So you can go on that site on janetnamaste.com and /transform. And you could even put the deposit in and then book a call with me and we can connect. And by the way, whoever signs up in the next 2 weeks, we're also going to do a bonus where Ashley and I, we want to do a family constellation. So the whole group who's going to be in this group will, because we're going to cap it, we're going to do a family constellation for that particular group also as a bonus.
I can't wait. Oh, don't hesitate. Don't, don't even think about it. It's, I just feel like, we're ready. Like, I feel like even this constellation work, I mean, they can sign up for sessions with you just
Oh,
individually on
absolutely.
Zoom. Yeah.
Absolutely. They could do
So,
those individual sessions. It's great. I usually offer online as well. Sometimes group constellation work, which is wonderful to participate. And if they're in New York on October 9th, I don't know when this is going to air, but October 19th and 20th, if they are in New York during that time, and if this airs before, then come to the Staten Island, come to the Constellation retreat. I'm doing it with Michelle Bleckner. We're going to have a cacao ceremony, breath work, all day constellations. And on Sunday, I'm going to be leading a beautiful constellation work of how to know and listen to the voice of your soul, what is the voice of the creator, what is the voice of the soul, and what is the voice of the ego. And it's beautiful. We're going to constantly,
Mm.
it's so empowering.
Oh, see,
Isn't that?
I'd want to go on that, but we will next time. That'll be our next.
Yes. Yes.
But that's amazing. Okay.
Yes.
I just adore you and love you so much. And I get so excited about when you have these new, these revelations of what's you've answered your calling, and it's just such a beautiful path to watch and be the witness of and be part of now. And, it's just like the heart that you have and the giving, you're like this person that just lights the way for people. And when I get on your calls, your amazing calls and watch how these people just love you so much, you've created such a beautiful community. And I'm so happy to be part of it. So thank you. And thank you for being part of my community too.
That's what I was about to say, that I feel the same way. And it's such an honor to be part of your community. And we're in this life together, bringing light in. And thank you for all the work that you do and how you pour your love and light into everything that you do, from parenting to friendship and to your community. Like I am so much better knowing you.
Oh,
I love you.
ditto. Oh,
I
I
really
do. I love you too so much. Very much. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. We'll be together on November 11th in the first class.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.